So we have Professor Frederick Charles Dubee, who represents Professor Huanming of the Beijing Genomics Institute at Shenzhen, China. But he himself is actually based in Finland. So please.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I will read a text by Professor Yang Huanming. And he is really sad that he cannot be here today. That is really a terrible challenge for him, but he cannot be here. His words: "Let me start by expressing deep appreciation to His Holiness Pope Francis and to the Pontifical Academy of Science, Chancellor Turkson, President von Braun, and all the members and academicians for ensuring that China, home to 1.4 billion people, more than 17% of the global population, is present and participating in this discussion. As you know, China has been systematically studying healthcare and medicine since well before the birth of Jesus Christ. China has much to learn, but it is committed to learning, as well as to share what other countries may find of value, while steadfastly refraining from imposing its views. When I arrived as a science student in Denmark, thanks to the open thinking of Mr. Deng Xiaoping, my mind and heart absorbed and refined the understanding of the sacred and indivisible relationship between science and ethics. This relationship is a vital call for scientists everywhere. Allow me to try to answer this call as we explore the strategies to decrease cancer-related inequalities. Einstein knew about the value of understanding a problem before embarking on the search for a solution. We live in a world that is replete with powerful, valuable, and transcendent diversity, but often devoid of mutual understanding, consideration, and respect, leading to a breakdown in fairness and justice. We know too well the terrifying numbers. Globally, this year, an additional 20 billion people will suffer from cancer and 10 million will die. We know that the scourge of cancer will increase more in the poor and developing areas of our world. Asia, accounting for about 30% of the world's population, has 49% of the world's cancer cases and 53% of the world's cancer deaths. The projected increase in the incidence of patients with cancer can be attributed in part to a number of specific factors: longevity, smoking, the impact of ongoing deterioration in health-related quality of lifestyles, unhealthy nutrition, suboptimal quality and quantity of exercise and sleep, poor life-work balance, multifaceted stress, environmental, and as we heard today, domestic pollution, and climate change. During this conference, we shall travel to the leading edge of strategies and tools that will help humanity treat and care for cancer victims. We must accept the imperatives expressed by the UN and the WHO, leave no one behind, and reach the furthest behind first, and the challenge to apply health in all policy approach. We must be mindful of the social determinants and the cornerstones of equity: no poverty and zero hunger. With the first sequencing of the human genome, personalized and precision medicine left the realm of dreams. Precision medicine considers individual differences and preferences to inform personal healthcare decisions that aim at improving health outcomes effectively and efficiently for all. Initially developed for genetically targeted cancer therapies, DNA sequencing can now be also applied to disease prevention, including cancers, through the identification, for example, of patient risk profiles. China has been working hard to systematically integrate genomic medicine into clinical care, but faces well-known challenges due in part to the complexity of genomic information, the limited number of genetic professionals, especially consultants, and the lack of preparedness of many in the healthcare community. The cost of sequencing, once a major stumbling block, is becoming less of a challenge. Health services research help identify ways to ease the burden on cancer care by improving detection and comprehensive diagnostic approaches. In the case of cancer germline genetic testing, GT, a systematic approach to sustained implementation of genetic testing is being successfully explored and is increasingly being used in the assessment and care of patients in many of the cancer-related specialties. An example, a UK and Chinese research group applied text mining technologies to construct specific tumor mutation burden associated gene panels across various cancer types. Personalized medicine and health-related sustainable development goal activities are increasingly focused on providing the best health care for everyone. This presents a bold challenge for China to further reduce the cost of high-throughput DNA sequencing and further automatize computational analytic approaches to provide population-wide genomic-driven diagnostics for all. Cheng Zhu, former Minister of Health, pointed out that the health care of over 1.3 billion people cannot be solved only by seeing a doctor and taking some medicine. Strengthening prevention and environmental protection is fundamental, and GT is key in enabling prevention and mitigation, not only in the treating of cancer and other diseases. At present, across China, GT is being increasingly used in disease detection, diagnostic, risk protection, supporting the drive for cancer prevention. Currently, there are 17 clinical practice guidelines for directing access to GT in China. Despite the fast and promising development of genomic applications, there are global concerns also present in China. How to ensure high standards of genetic services. A particular concern is the lack of quality criteria in multipath genetic service delivery models. Within the remit of Healthy China 2030, China has worked to understand how oncological genetic services could be provided to every person in need, and to identify and implement the most people-oriented and cost-effective methods to meet this objective. China is working on an implementation study to identify and compile evidence regarding the challenges and potential solutions to improve GT service delivery model. I believe we should not neglect the other side of the coin and add to our efforts to reduce the incidence of cases through even more concentrated focus on prevention. Indeed, while cancer is a disease with a large genetically driven facets, we must search for a balance as we focus on cutting-edge therapeutics whose cost may not be affordable to the vast majority of patients and to society at large, in rich and in less affluent nations alike. Evidence-based and effective preventive health measures must be increasingly present in the core arsenal in the battle against the so-called emperor of all maladies. Notwithstanding the many pragmatic and methodological differences in research, an increasing body of evidence suggests that approximately 40 to 50% of cancer cases are preventable. While we cannot escape our genetic background, we are constantly gaining increasing power to free ourselves from life-enslaving sentences imposed by genetic abnormalities and genetic accidents. In addition, we can also opt to modify our lifestyle factors to support the reduction of potential health problems, including those that lead to incidence of certain cancers. Harnessing the example of the most well-known carcinogens, neither society at large nor governments question the link between different cancer types and smoking of tobacco. Still, the perceived effect of smoking remains attractive for many individuals, private and public organizations. The consequences of tobacco-induced cancer too often appear remote and dismissible. The soft steps we see in many developed nations and emerging economies, including China, do not have sufficient power to alter deadly habits. Today, few countries have taken the decisive steps exemplified by tobacco-free Finland in 2030 and the multi-layered approaches to make this a reality. As I explore the role of public health, I remind myself of the adage, stitch in time saves nine. And here are just a few examples. At the preconception level, we can detect potential hereditary challenges, such as the mutation in the genome guardian, the p53 gene, opening new possibilities for action. At the embryonic level, the regenerative power of the fetus are at lifetime highest, and the possibility of detecting and mitigating health problems is increasing. At later life stages, next-generation genomic sequencing and/or polygenic risk scores can provide early indications of potential health problems that can be addressed. For example, intelligent HPV testing. Intelligent testing, possibly supported by unobtrusive real-time monitoring, will also provide the individual with data that could help optimize physical functions and well-being by providing personalized real-time information and allowing the individual to select diet, exercise, rest approaches so to effectively participate in the management of their own health. While cancer is often seen as a genetic disease, environmental factors from air pollution to viral threats and beyond play an equally critical role in cancer pathogenesis, too often affecting the most socially vulnerable groups, thus leading to socioeconomic and geographic inequity. Improved public health is also crucial, as many cancers can be caused by poor water quality and lack of hygiene. For example, in many parts of the world, to escape controls and benefit from lower costs, polluting industries have been transferred from developed areas into underdeveloped regions. Relocation to less controlled areas can effectively trigger the transportation of cancer risk to unprotected regions and people. Increased monitoring of this type of export in the future will be vital to reducing human diseases, including cancer. Another environmental factor, that of oncogenic viruses acting by persistent chronic infection and adapting their viral genetic diversity, China is now developing high-performance methods for the extraction of virus mutations from biomedical information. This approach has resulted in freely available search engines for researchers and clinicians to quickly find and accurately search virus mutation-related information, including virus genes and related diseases, a process that is becoming an important component of China's cancer strategy. As China's strategies to decrease inequality in cancer therapeutic care and prevention evolve from lessons learned from addressing consolidated factors of inequality, such as hunger and malnutrition, lack of basic infrastructure, abject poverty, illiteracy. We know that there is no quick fix, and the road ahead is long and arduous. There will be both breakthroughs and unexpected challenges along the way, and a holistic and long-term commitment that involves all stakeholders is essential. Dear members of this meeting, dear friends, we feel strongly that the efforts undertaken by the Pontifical Academy of Science must be shared with all nations of the world who would care to take up this challenge. With this in mind, we are proposing to actively carry the message and seek proactive involvement of scientists and policymakers everywhere. And as our first contribution, we are proposing in April 2023, the International Conference on Genomics, an 18-year-old tradition in China and around the world, will hold a special session on the topic Strategies to Decrease Inequality in Cancer Therapy and Prevention. In the fall of 2023, the International Conference on Genomics will organize and implement a two-day international workshop focused on strategies for developing nations. Details will follow. Your advice and guidance will be taught and cherished. You are all warmly invited to join, and we shall reciprocate in supporting your efforts wherever we can add value. Thank you very, very much. Yang Huanming.